All right, so let's jump into this mountain of information about Team France Export.
TFE?
Right, TFE. We've got like their websites, even a YouTube video. I know you're super interested in opportunities in France and maybe even like, thinking about expanding your business internationally.
Sure.
So we're going to break it all down. How does TFE actually help businesses achieve these, global goals?
Well, the cool thing about TFE is it's not just some, like, boring government
Yeah.
agency, right?
Right.
It's more like it's a partnership, almost like a dream team,
Yeah.
assembled to help French businesses kind of conquer the world.
Okay, dream team. I like that. So
Yeah.
who's on this dream team?
So first you've got Business France. They're like the guide,
Mhm.
to the global jungle out there.
Okay.
They give you information on all these foreign markets, help businesses make those important connections. And they even have this program called VIE, which places young French professionals in companies abroad.
So, like, imagine you're fresh out of school, got that travel bug. TFE can help you get a job overseas.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. But what about the money part? Isn't going global, like, really expensive?
That's where BP France comes in. They're all about the financial solutions, loans, credits, all that stuff, but specifically for expanding internationally.
So, not just your average business loan, they've got options for going global. That
Yep.
must make things easier for businesses, I'm sure.
And they have these like international business managers in each region, so you get that personal touch.
Like your own personal financial coach.
Exactly.
All right, so Business France, BP France. What about the Chambers of Commerce and Industry, the CCIs? What do they do?
Think of them as the local experts. They've got like over 125 locations all over France, and they give advice, information, but specifically for, businesses that want to expand internationally.
So let's say I'm a business owner in, I don't know, Lyon. I can walk into my local CCI and get advice on like exporting my, I don't know, fancy cheeses to Germany.
Exactly. That's the idea. Make it easy, you know. And then you also have the regions themselves, each with their own like special strengths.
Right, like if I'm a tech startup in, let's say, Toulouse, my region would have resources specifically for helping me break into, I don't know, the European market.
Exactly. So you've got this really powerful team working together, and their goal is to help French businesses win, globally.
This dream team analogy is really working, but like, is it all just talk? How do they actually help businesses?
Well, they have advisors, both in France, around 250 of them, and abroad, get this, 750 advisors.
Yeah.
But here's the cool part. For someone like you who like efficiency, they're a one-stop shop.
Ooh, stop right there. I love that phrase. Explain that.
It means instead of dealing with a ton of different organizations, you have one point of contact for all of TFE's services.
So no more like bureaucratic nightmares. I love it.
Exactly. No more feeling overwhelmed. But let's talk specifics. What kind of support?
Yeah, give me the details.
Well, one thing I thought was really cool was their help with trade shows. Okay. They help businesses get into those events in France and internationally, but at a lower cost. That's a huge help, especially for smaller businesses.
Like a VIP pass to the global marketplace. What else?
They have these booster programs specifically for SMEs and ETIs. These are about growing fast through international expansion. Neymar, the company we talked about before, they used one of these programs
Right.
and ended up making partnerships in Italy and Spain.
So TFE isn't just like giving information, they're actively connecting businesses with partners and customers overseas. That's awesome.
That's the goal, helping French businesses win markets. They're not just playing defense, they're playing offense.
This is all sounding pretty impressive, but let's be real. Going global takes money. How does BIPA France help with that?
So Paper France has all these, financial solutions, but they're designed specifically for businesses that are, going global. They've got things like the Précroissance International, the credit export, even help with setting up operations in other countries.
So not just getting a loan for like making more products, but for the whole going global process.
Exactly. And it's not like one size fits all. It's support for different stages of, a company's international growth.
Okay, so TFE has this amazing team of experts and all these support services. But how do businesses even know where to start? The world's a big place.
That's where it gets really interesting. They don't just throw you out there,
Right.
They give you the tools to make smart decisions. They have this section on their website called Maison Faux Marché, which is market intelligence from experts based all over the world.
Hold on, experts all over the world, like they have people on the ground gathering information and giving it to French businesses.
Yep. And they also have a list of what they call pays prioritaires, which are countries they specifically recommend for exporting.
So they're basically saying, hey, we think these countries are the best opportunities for French businesses.
Exactly. And then they also have categories for pays challengers and autres pays, which are different kinds of opportunities, different levels of risk.
So, like a tiered system, high potential countries, emerging markets, and then a wider pool of countries gives you a roadmap for your global journey.
Exactly.
But knowing where to go is only half the battle, right? How do you actually find partners and customers in those markets?
That's where the opportunities business section comes in. It's a place where foreign companies can post requests for French suppliers, and they've got a huge range of sectors: cosmetics, food, tech, even a category called Univers de la Personne, which is like lifestyle stuff, home, sports, leisure.
So, like, if I'm a French company making, I don't know, high-tech yoga mats, I could
Yeah.
find a company in, like, Japan who wants to buy those.
Exactly. These are real companies with, real needs. For example, right now there's a company in India that needs sustainable tech for waste management.
Wow. So TFE is not just like providing support, they're actively connecting French businesses with customers globally. But are there any like success stories where TFE helped a French company go global and it really worked?
Absolutely. A great example is this wine producer, Le Vignoble Le Paltis.
Okay. Wine, France, I can see that. But how did TFE help them specifically? Did they just give them advice and say good luck?
No, no, it was much more than that. They helped with market research, all the regulations, and even connecting them with importers and distributors in other countries.
So really hands-on, not just telling them what to do, but actually helping them do it.
Exactly. And it worked. They've grown a lot internationally, even won some awards for their wines.
That's awesome. It's inspiring to hear about, how TFE makes a real difference. But I'm curious, is it all just about getting French businesses out into the world? What about bringing foreign businesses into France? Do they do that too?
That's a great question. And it turns out, yeah, TFE works both ways.
Oh, I like this. Tell me more.
So it starts with Business France, the same people who help French companies go global. They have a whole division for attracting foreign investment.
Hold on. So Business France is playing both sides. That's cool. But how do they convince foreign companies to invest in France? Do they just, like, wait for them to show up?
No way.
Yeah.
They're very proactive. They have these experts who go out and promote France.
Yeah.
They go to trade shows, conferences. They even have special websites and stuff, all about why France is a good place to do business.
So it's like they're doing the same thing they do for French exports, but in reverse. Instead of promoting French products, they're promoting France itself.
Exactly. They talk about the skilled workers, the innovation, the location in Europe, the quality of life, everything that makes France attractive for business.
I always think of France as like fashion, food, tourism. But when you say innovation, technology, it makes sense why companies would want to invest there.
Right. And don't forget about the infrastructure. They've got good transportation, telecommunications, easy access to other European markets.
So it's not just about like the romance of France, they're also talking about the practical stuff.
Exactly. And it seems to be working. France is one of the top destinations in Europe for foreign investment.
Impressive. But like, how does Business France actually help these foreign companies? What do they do?
They have a bunch of services, tailored to each investor. They help with things like market research, finding the right location, legal advice, even connecting them with potential partners or clients in France.
So they're really guiding these companies every step of the way.
Exactly. And remember, BIP France.
Yeah.
They can help these foreign companies get funding too for their investments in France.
Oh, right. That's a huge incentive.
Yeah, it shows how all the partners in PFE work together for both French businesses going out and international businesses coming in.
This is really starting to sound like a well-oiled machine. But are there any like specific sectors they're focusing on?
Yeah, actually, they do have some priorities.
Okay, tell me, what are they focusing on?
Well, based on their website and some news I've seen, they're really pushing for investment in renewable energy, healthcare, and digital technology.
So stuff that's like, hot right now, and that aligns with France's own goals, right?
Exactly. They want investments that benefit the French economy and contribute to, more sustainable and innovative future.
They're trying to make France a leader in the industries of the future.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And they're talking about, their strengths. For example, France is strong in offshore wind energy. They have world-class research in healthcare, and really exciting startup scene in digital tech.
It's a smart strategy. They're focusing on what they're good at.
Exactly. And it seems to be attracting investors. They've gotten a lot of investment in these areas from all over the world.
This is fascinating. But do they have any like specific examples, success stories, where they helped a foreign company invest in France and it made a real difference?
Yeah, they do. There's one in the renewable energy sector that's pretty cool.
Okay, tell me about it.
A few years ago, this Danish company, Ørsted, which is a big player in offshore wind energy, decided to invest in a wind farm project off the coast of France.
Wow, that's a huge investment.
It was. And Business France really helped them make it happen. They gave them all kinds of support, market analysis, regulatory guidance, introduced them to partners and local authorities.
They went all out to make sure this investment was successful.
Yeah. And the results are pretty great. The wind farm is up and running, producing clean energy, creating jobs, boosting the local economy, and it helps France get closer to their renewable energy goals.
That's an awesome example of how TFE's work can make a real difference for both France and the companies investing there.
A win-win situation. And it shows how important government agencies can be in this whole process.
Okay, so we've seen how TFE helps French businesses go global and how they attract foreign businesses to France. They've got the people, the expertise, the resources, the success stories. They're clearly a big deal. But I have one last question, and it might sound a little philosophical.
Okay, hit me with it.
We've been talking about like the practical stuff, the economics, the strategy, but is there a bigger picture here? Like a deeper mission or purpose behind what TFE does?
That's a really good question. It gets to the heart of what TFE is all about.
Okay, I'm ready.
Think about it this way. TFE isn't just about helping companies make money. It's about something bigger. It's about connecting people, working together, building bridges between different cultures.
I like where this is going.
Right. So through their work, TFE is helping to create a world that's more connected and, prosperous. They promote trade, which creates jobs and improves lives. They help share ideas and innovations, which leads to progress and solutions to global problems.
So it's about more than just the economy. It's about creating a better world.
Exactly. And that's why TFE is important, not just for France, but for everyone.
I'm seeing TFE in a whole new light. It's not just a government agency. It's like a force for positive change.
Yeah, powerful, right?
Yeah. But before we get too carried away with the like global harmony and all that, remember Neymar, that company from Nouvelle Aquitaine, the one that made partnerships in Italy and Spain thanks to TFE's program?
Yeah, the natural and organic food company.
Right. Their story sounded really interesting, but we only got a little snippet. I want to know more about like the challenges they faced, how TFE actually helped them, and what the results were, the numbers.
Well, it sounds like we have the perfect topic for part 2 of our deep dive.
Stay tuned, everyone, because next time we're going deep into the story of Neymar and how Team France Export made a difference for them.
It's really interesting how a company like Neymar can be like a perfect example of how TFE works.
Right. They're from Nouvelle Aquitaine, a region famous for, amazing food.
Right.
But getting that food from like a local market to shelves in Italy and Spain, that's a whole other story.
Exactly. And their story really shows how all the different parts of TFE come together, to help a company like that succeed.
Okay, so let's break it down. What are some of the challenges a company like Neymar would face going into those international markets?
Well, first, there's all the regulations, right?
Right.
Different countries, different labels, different food safety rules, import and export stuff. It's a lot, especially for a company that's, new to the global game.
Yeah, like it's a whole new language, but it's all like bureaucracy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the culture, right? What people like in France might not be a hit in Italy or Spain.
Right.
They might have different tastes, different eating habits, different ways of shopping for food.
So it's not just like translating the label, it's understanding each market.
Yeah. And that's where TFE is so helpful. They can give advice on market research, cultural stuff, regulations. They help businesses like Neymar handle it all.
Okay, so they've got the knowledge, the resources to help with those first steps. But what about the actual process of like getting their products into those markets, finding distributors, shipping, all that?
Yeah, that's where those booster programs come in. Remember, Namhar mentioned they used one.
Right, the ones for faster growth, specifically for those, what were they called?
SMEs and ETIs.
Right.
So those programs are very focused on helping businesses like Neymar expand internationally
Yeah.
and do it quickly.
So what would they have gotten from this program? Give me the details.
So imagine TFE experts working directly with Neymar looking at their business, their target markets,
Hmm.
building a strategy just for them.
Like their own personal pit crew for the global race.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just talk. They might have introduced Namar to distributors in Italy and Spain, helping them make connections.
So TFE is opening doors for them in these new markets.
Exactly. And maybe even some financial help to cover the costs of exporting, like trade shows or marketing.
So they're really covering all the bases.
Yeah, it's a complete approach. They handle all the challenges a company like Neymar faces when going international.
I'm really starting to see how much TFE does to help French businesses succeed globally. But let's talk results. What did all this actually do for Neymar's business?
Well, their testimonials said they made strategic partnerships in Italy and Spain.
Right.
That tells us they really expanded their market reach.
Yeah, it's one thing to get your product on a shelf somewhere. It's another to make real partnerships that last.
Exactly. And those partnerships could have led to, a big jump in sales, opening up new possibilities for Knob.
And more sales usually means more jobs, right? Both in France and maybe even in those new markets.
Absolutely. It's a ripple effect. TFE's support helps companies like Nom.Doc grow, which then helps the economy in France and in the countries they're working with.
Now, we know NAMR focuses on natural and organic food. Do you think TFE focusing on, things like renewable energy, healthcare, and tech, does that mean they care less about more traditional industries like food?
That's a smart question. And it's important to remember that TFE's support isn't limited. They're not picking winners and losers. Just
Yeah.
because they're focused on those high growth sectors doesn't mean they're ignoring other important industries.
Okay, so they're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Right. They still support all kinds of businesses, from, tech startups to those making traditional French cheese.
Right, right.
And actually, food and agriculture is having a bit of a comeback globally. People want high quality, sustainable food,
Yeah.
ethically sourced.
It's funny, like the French paradox, right?
Yeah.
The idea that French people can eat like rich food but stay healthy. Maybe it's not a paradox, maybe it's just about quality.
I like that. And that idea resonates with people around the world. They'll pay more for food that's good and matches their values.
So a company like Neymar, with their natural and organic focus, they're in a good spot to take advantage of that.
Exactly. And TFE is there to help them reach those customers.
Right.
It shows that innovation isn't just about tech, it's also about adapting to what people want.
Okay, so we've seen that TFE isn't just about like helping tech companies take over the world. They're also helping more traditional businesses like Neymar that are tapping into those global trends. But how do they decide who to support? Is there like an application process?
That's a great question. And it shows something really interesting about how TFE works. They're not just sitting around waiting for companies to come to them. They're out there looking for businesses with potential, that have a vision for going global.
Like talent scouts for the global market?
Exactly. They have a whole system for finding and evaluating companies. They look at things like finances, the product or service, target markets, the management team.
So it's not just about having a good idea, it's about having a solid plan and the right people to make it happen.
Exactly. And they're not just looking for companies that are already big in France. They're also interested in startups,
Right.
newer companies that could change things globally.
It's like they're investing in the future of French business.
Exactly. Which brings us back to Neymar. They may have been a small company when they first talked to TFE, but they had passion, a clear vision, and a focus on quality. TFE saw that.
They saw their potential and gave them the tools to make it happen.
Yeah. It's a great story. But do you ever wonder if all this government support is, too much? Could it make companies dependent or maybe stifle innovation?
That's a good point. Does it make them lazy?
That's something TFE is very aware of.
Uh,
Their goal isn't to make businesses rely on the government forever.
Right.
They want to help them become strong enough to succeed on their own globally.
So, like, give them a boost, not a crutch.
Exactly. Help them reach that point where they can stand on their own 2 feet and compete.
Teach a man to fish, right?
Yeah, exactly. It shows the long-term thinking of TFE. They're not just about quick wins. They're investing in the future of French business, building something that can last for generations.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. We've gone from, like, the nuts and bolts of TFE to the impact they have on businesses like Neymar and the French economy.
And we've only scratched the surface. There's so much more to TFE.
Like what? Don't leave me hanging.
Well, remember those testimonials we talked about from French companies that went global with TFE's help?
Yeah, the Ils nous font confiance section on their website.
Right. We talked about the wine producer, Les Vignobles Maltais, and we went deep into Namar's story. But there was another one from a company called Texalise.
Saxelise rings a bell, but I can't remember.
They specialize in mobility solutions, but for extreme environments like military vehicles, specialized transport.
Oh, wow. That's a whole different world than organic food. Tell me more.
Their testimonial said TFE helped them get a big contract in the Middle East, which is known for, tough conditions, extreme heat.
So TFE isn't just helping businesses expand geographically, but also into like new areas of technology and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes me wonder, how does TFE support companies in such, specialized and often risky sectors?
That's a great question. Exporting wine or cheese is one thing, but selling military vehicles or complex transport systems to places with like political instability and crazy weather, that's a whole other game.
Yeah, and that's where TFE's expertise and their network become even more important. They have to deal with things like export controls, security regulations, cultural differences, political risks. It's a lot.
Sounds like a high stakes game of chess, but on a global scale.
It is. And that's why we need to dig into this more. It's the story full of intrigue, innovation, and the kind of strategy that can make or break a company.
All right, listeners, get ready. We're about to explore a whole new side of Team France Export. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll unpack the story of Texalis and how TFE helps French businesses succeed in even the most extreme situations.
All right, so we're back and ready to dig into this Texas story. They're not exactly your average French company, are they?
No, not really. We're talking like hardcore mobility solutions for places with extreme conditions, deserts, mountains, even the Arctic. Tough stuff.
So like the kind of vehicles you'd see in a Bond movie.
Yeah.
Explosions, driving off cliffs, that kind of thing.
Haha, maybe not that dramatic. But yeah, built to handle what a normal car just couldn't. Okay, I'm starting to picture it. But why would they need TFE? It's not like they're selling these things, at the corner store.
Right, but even the toughest vehicle needs to get to its market, right? Globally, that's where TFE comes in.
So what's different for a company like this when they want to go international?
Well, for one, just getting them there.
Yeah.
You're not shipping wine or cheese anymore. These are huge specialized vehicles.
Right, can't exactly fit one of those in a regular box.
Exactly. And the regulations, forget about it. Exporting military-grade stuff, specialized transport, it's not sending a postcard. Each country has its own rules, export controls, security, licensing.
So it's like a bureaucratic minefield, but the stakes are way higher, right? Sensitive tech, national security, and all that.
Exactly. And then there's the culture and politics of it all.
Mm.
Selling, military stuff to some countries, it can be really sensitive. You got to be careful not to cause problems.
It's like global diplomacy meets extreme shipping logistics.
Uh-huh. Kinda. That's where TFE really shines. They've got the experience, the connections, they understand how to navigate all that.
So with Texalis, they got that big contract in the Middle East. How did TFE help there?
Well, I'm sure TFE gave them great market intelligence.
Yeah.
Like what the Middle East actually needs, who their competition is, the rules, the cultural things that can make or break a deal.
Like TFE gave them the cheat sheet for doing business in that region.
Yeah. And they might have introduced Texalis to the right people, important decision makers, open doors that would have been closed otherwise.
So more than just info, they're making those connections happen.
Right. And don't forget Paper France. They might have helped with financing too, to make sure Texalis could get the contract.
Market knowledge, connections, financial support. Sounds like they've got it covered.
And it shows how TFE can help companies in totally different fields, from food to vehicles, whatever it is.
But remember those pays prioritaires TFE recommends? Does that even apply here? Textiles is a niche market, right? Very specific customers.
Good point. It shows that TFE isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. Those recommendations are great for someone just starting out figuring out where to go.
Right.
But for Texalis, with their unique products, they might need something more tailored.
Like you've got the map with the highways, but you also need a compass and, a sense of adventure to go off-road.
Uh-huh, yeah. And TFE helps them do that. Find those hidden opportunities, those special clients that need what they offer.
This whole conversation has been like, wow, international business is so complex, so dynamic.
It is.
It's not just selling stuff. It's understanding different cultures, the rules, building relationships with people all over.
And it shows you, even with all the technology we have, nothing beats, human connection and expertise.
Yeah, like you can have the best GPS in the world, but you still need a good driver to handle the surprises.
That's a great way to put it. And that's what makes TFE so important, not just for France, but globally. They bring people together, make things work better, create a world where we can collaborate and succeed.
This deep dive has been incredible. We started with how TFE works, then the impact they have on companies like NameR and Texalis, and even, got a little philosophical about their whole mission of connecting people globally.
That's been quite a journey.
It really has. And to all our listeners, we hope you've learned something about international business, how complex it is, and how important organizations like TFE are. So keep exploring, keep learning, and maybe even think about how you can be a part of it all. Whether you want to take your business global or just understand the world better, TFE shows us that even big goals are possible with the right help, the right plan, and a little bit of that French magic.
That's a perfect way to end it. Thanks for having me.
Until next time, everyone.